All right, so we are going to shortcut this process. We are in the third meeting. This is the second recording on the third meeting. I'm going to go over point of sale closing, and I appreciate your patience, everybody. We are working off of the same model that we worked off of last time. We're doing the same meeting. I did change the age just slightly because I wanted to show you guys the scenario of the people still working for a little bit longer. This is a scenario that we see all the time, where you have a couple that's going to be working for a few more years and they are maxing out their 401ks. And in this particular case, only one spouse works. And of course, the model is incredibly important, as it has been this whole time. But we always want to go back to the tax life of somebody's retirement. So they got $150,000 of income now. When I add in the Social Security, if they have any pensions, these guys don't have any pensions. But if they did have any pensions, we would add them here. And then I'm going to show you the withdrawal. If they've got $2 million in IRAs, by the time they retire, they're going to be pulling out $100,000 a year. So income-wise, they're going to be making just as much, if not more, than they're making now. Tax brackets are likely to go up. That's the theme that we want to make sure we stick with. And even if their tax bracket's not going to go up, tax brackets themselves are going to go up for a plethora of reasons. Okay? So today we're going to be finalizing the charitable trust idea. We're going to be implementing the life insurance, redirecting money, and I'm going to show you some illustrations and get you guys familiar with how simple this whole process can really be. All right. So the client has got a couple more years to work. One of the times the client will say to me, "Well, gee, yeah, I understand that I might be able to redirect my overmatch and maybe not put so much money into my 401k, but what's that really going to do to my 401k in this example?" So let's just go ahead and keep our eye on this $1.8 million number, and we're going to go ahead and not put so much money in this 401k. So we're going to put in the $7,500 that's getting matched. So when I change that, that $1.8 million goes down to $1.7 million. So he's lost $100,000, but he's putting in a ton less money for the next 5 years, right, between age 63 and 68. So it's not really going to have that dramatic of an impact at all. And in fact, I would say to you that it's not a good idea to continue allowing these retirement accounts to build so much just so that he can pay a higher tax on it later on. Very, very simple concept. And of course, we're going to say, why don't we redirect this towards something that we can have tax sheltered, not just tax deferred. Maybe it can bring you some extra benefits. Maybe it can create a better estate for your kids. In this case, I think it's one child, Sheila, and whatever it is that we want to have happen. So we're going to keep it really simple down here. We're going to be putting some of this Vanguard money or ETFs or a combination of these into a charitable trust and creating some additional benefits for them. But right now, all we're doing is we're working on the IRAs, and I know that they know a little bit about tax sheltering because they have these Roths, right? So I always like to reiterate to them, well, I know you have Roths. I can see them on here, and you have some tax-free stuff, but why don't you have any more? And a lot of times people will say, oh, well, I didn't know I can contribute more money to a Roth. And then that's when I say, it's not about contributing money to the Roth. It's about converting your other accounts that are taxable into Roths, i.e. converting the taxable into tax-free. And so, of course, many people don't know they can do that. So we can convert these IRAs. We can convert the 401k to Roth. There's a lot of different things that we can do to get that job done. All right. But the key to this is making them understand that even with the new C.A.R.E Act coming into play now, we have a scenario where we have too much money all tied up in this one government-controlled account. And it's all taxable, and if the government changes the rules on us, there's nothing we can do about it. So I think it's time for us to start changing our strategy and redirecting more money towards tax-sheltered and tax-free. Right? Now, it just so happens that you and your wife are currently healthy enough to qualify for life insurance, and it also just so happens that the life insurance you qualified for actually includes some living benefits like chronic illness or what some people would call in-home care or long-term care coverage, and it doesn't cost any extra money. It's included in the program. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. All right. But the first thing we're going to try to do is say, all right, there's a certain amount of money every year that we really want to be redirecting. And in order to get that amount of money, I want to see what the tax returns look like. All right. And so married filing jointly, these guys make, let's see, makes 150 plus he's deferring about 20,000 into his 401k, so that brings him down to like 130. And then of course you get the standard deduction of 24, so he's down to about a 110. So he could take, you could take probably $50,000 to $60,000 a year extra out of your retirement accounts, or not defer so much, and still stay in this very low tax bracket that you're in right now. And I'll ask them, what's the likelihood you're going to go down to a lower tax bracket below this $22,000? Are you ever going to make less than $77,000? And the answer is no, probably not. And I want them to say it. I don't want it to come from me. So if we're going to be in a higher tax bracket and we can make some more money and still stay in this low tax bracket that we're in, the best way to do that is, number one, to not put so much in, and number two, we can even start taking some money out. So I'm going to go to the calculator. I'm going to show, before I do the insurance stuff, I'm going to go back to our calculator. I'm going to say, look, we have 1.2 million bucks, and you're adding to this. So why don't we think about starting to divest a little bit? So not quite so much money is tied up in this one area. And I'm trying to figure out how much money we can take out of this $1.2 million each year and not have your money continue to grow. So I came up with a number that's about 65,000 bucks. All right. Now, of course, when this guy retires, he's going to need some of that $65,000 to live on in retirement. So in most cases, if you have 1.2 million, the RMD on that is going to be about $40,000 a year. Right? And the RMD isn't going to kick in for many years from now, but a lot of people will use that as a guideline to talk about how much money they want to withdraw. But what I want to do is I want to say, look, we just want to take our money and redirect it. Let's go ahead and take some of this money out and tax shelter it. All right? So $65,000 a year, where might we want to be able to tax shelter this money for the next 20 years or so, where it can get us some additional benefit? So luckily, I have some insurance stuff, and I've got two different scenarios here. So these are the actual scenarios for a client of this age, and this is the insurance scenario. The first insurance scenario is what I'd call a lower premium. So the lower premium would be 16,000 bucks a year. Okay, the higher premium would be $26,000 a year. So they can put sort of any one of these premiums in there, anywhere in between. If they want to overfund and put even more, they can put even more. But I probably would like to do insurance on each of these people if I could right now, and I want to make sure I've got the resources to do that. So running through the simple scenario of the lower premium one, $16,000 a year, you get a $500,000 policy. Right? And there's two components of these policies. There's the cash and there's the death benefit. The cash, you don't need any reason to pull it out. So 20 years from now, on the lower premium scenario, you would have $278,000 worth of cash, and the death benefit would stay relatively level for right now. If you want to use the death benefit for long-term care, roughly 85–90% of that death benefit is going to be available for long-term care. So just say we could take out $50,000 a year for 9 years, as an example, to help pay for long-term care. That's tax-free, and that would enable you to not have to cash in your retirement accounts if you needed care when you're elderly. So that's really simple. People get that right away. This money is not coming from their budget. The $16,000 is not coming from their cash flow. It's going to be coming from their retirement account. So it's not going to burden their cost of living at all right now. The higher premium one, though, is really going to sing a little bit more for these guys. So this $500,000 death benefit, if we can put $26,000 and redirect that from the 401k into here, and we can do that from a combination of not putting so much in and also taking some money out, this is going to easily double over their lifetime. So that $500,000, you see when they get to their late 80s, early 90s, is going to be worth over $1 million bucks. So that means they get their cake and eat it too. Some of the weaknesses with the standalone long-term care plans is that if you don't use the insurance, you lose it. If you don't ever need the long-term care, then your family doesn't get any of that money back. Well, in this plan that includes both death benefit through life insurance and long-term care, you've got a pool of money here, and you can use it for whatever you want. So if you use half of this money, $500,000 for the chronic illness benefit for in-home care, Let's say, again, same deal. You use $50,000 a year for 7 years or 9 years, or whatever it is. The other $500,000 that you didn't spend still goes to your family. And if you never needed the care, the entire $1 million goes to your family. So this insurance plan is actually worth more to your state by far than your current 401k, because your current 401k is all taxable, so it's really going to burden your kids with taxes. And I don't think that was your intention necessarily. But this $1 million is going to be tax free, and it's going to have some other benefits along with it, other than just the life insurance portion. Obviously, because we're putting a lot more money into this plan, cash value is building very, very quickly. I like to point out, this increase in cash value piece. You start getting back within the second or third year the majority each year. This is an increase in net cash value each year. So you start getting back, and this is, by the way, in a horrible interest rate environment. So there's every likelihood in the world what they're actually going to get performance-wise is better than what I'm going to show. But I don't want to get too caught up in the numbers. I just want to explain the idea. So you'll see here at year 8, you put in 26, you get 26 back. After that, for the rest of your life, you're going to be making more money than you're putting in. And that's why your policy is building so quickly. Again, people understand that concept. It's a pretty easy one to get. If you haven't sold a lot of life insurance, obviously we typically want to, explain the benefits of both while you're living and when you pass away. If you have sold a lot of life insurance before, then you know that this is obviously a whole life insurance policy. You can set up whole life. This is more of a universal life scenario here, the lower premium, the fixed benefit. I think this guy has enough money to get the Cadillac of plans. I think they got enough money to build cash fast, to have their death benefit growing quickly. I think it's a really, really good deal for them. So, down the road they may use the cash, they may never need the cash, but if taxes go up and you're 78, Mr. Client, wouldn't it be nice to have a pocket of money of $300,000 or $400,000 that you could get to without paying taxes in a higher tax rate environment? One of my clients came in the other day and made a great point. He said, I really want to have money set aside somewhere so that not just if taxes go up, but if the market is doing horrible, I don't want to have to pull my money out of the stock market in a down year. I'd like to have some money somewhere else where I can pull it out while I wait for my money to recover. That is exactly another reason why this cash value is so vital. Right? It buys you time, it buys you opportunity, and it buys you choices. So for the most part, when I show people this, if we know that we're redirecting money, and let's say we do $500,000 on each client, so this is 26 plus 16 for the other one, so it's like $38,000 worth of premium. That might be a little bit high for this client. Let me just take a quick look here at the model again. So I want to be able to have a model for retirement. So I got about, so if I reduce the $24,000 down to $7,000, I might be able to net, because I got to pay taxes on that money, right? So I might be able to net, let's see, maybe $12,000. So I got $12,000 of premium just by not maximizing or not overfunding my 401k. And then I got 1.2 here, so I got probably another I can probably do that 38,000. I think that amount of premium sounds right. And these solutions, guys, are all resource driven. It's got nothing to do with me saying, oh, you each need to do $500,000 of insurance. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with, here are the resources, and this is how much money we can put into here. So going back to our original scenario, let me show you what the let me show you what the 401k rollover looks like. So I got $1.2 million in here, and I got $65,000 that I'm pulling out. After $65,000 of money coming out of here, you got to pay taxes on that. Same deal. You might net 45. So I can put 30 into the insurance, and I can get an extra $15,000 and do something else with it. I can Roth convert it, or I can do other things. But the general idea is after 20 years, you still got your $1 million in your 401k. This doesn't include the new contributions, so it's still going to be growing. But now you got 20 years here, $1 million. On top of that, though, now we've just added 20 years down the road, you've added $865,000 of tax-free insurance on the husband or the wife, and on the other spouse, 20 years, obviously, you got another $500,000. So I added $1.3 million of tax-free insurance benefit on top of their $1 million that they have in their 401k. So all I've done is I've just started to convert and started to change some of those taxable 401ks into the tax-free insurance over time. That's the general idea. We don't have to make it more complicated than that. Don't get too caught up in the minutia of well, what's your rate of return and what's your cost of insurance and all this other kind of stuff. You go down those rabbit holes and it's really going to end up causing distractions. All right. So we're going back to the model. It's pretty clear that we can add some serious life insurance and long-term care chronic illness benefit to their life, which is fantastic. It's also pretty clear that they're still going to have $1 million or $1.7 million or whatever it is, even if they reduce what they're putting in. So that's a nice nest egg that we're going to start shaving away at. And it's also pretty clear that they've got some non-qual that we can put some money into the charitable trust idea. Right? So we have some additional premium here, don't forget, on the charitable trust idea. So in this particular case, we'll go back to the wrong one. We'll go back to the illustrations. We'll go into the calculators like we did last time. We're finalizing the trust this time, right? We're doing 300, let's say 350 this time into the charitable trust. And just to remind you guys, this client I think was, what did it become, 63? Bada bing, bada boom. Now that we have the life insurance in place, we don't have to worry about, well, gosh, if I put money into the charitable trust and die tomorrow, what happens? We just killed like a third or fourth or fifth bird with that same stone, right? So we're going to generate $17,500 worth of income. Remember, this income doesn't exist today, so that's pretty awesome, right? We're generating this income that doesn't exist today. We're getting them a tax benefit of almost $150,000. Right, so we got these guys massive tax benefits. We've avoided capital gains tax with this charitable trust. We're going to leave some money to charity. We're going to create an income stream, and we're fully insured. Right? We got the insurance in place based upon our tax sheltering strategy with a 401k. We don't need to worry about it now because we got an extra $500,000, and it's going to grow. The $500,000 is going to grow. And so we don't need to worry about the life insurance. So we're kind of killing all these different birds with the same stone. So, gosh, these guys, I mean, what a world of difference you made from a real bland sort of ticking time bomb scenario, right? These guys are all tied up in 401k with no other options, no insurance protection whatsoever, going to get clobbered by taxes in retirement. God forbid the market goes down. These guys have nowhere else to go. Current taxation on their mutual funds or ETFs or indexes with Vanguard, no control over this whatsoever. Right, we've totally flipped these guys on their heads. We've said we're going to create more tax sheltering, have a better estate. We're going to control taxes and create some deductions for you. We're going to give you a nice chunk of protection for long-term care and for survivor benefit for the husband and wife. And we're going to make sure all these assets pass along to your daughter and grandkids as efficiently as possible. So we really want to, and I wanted to show you guys how the model and the calculators and everything else works at point of sale. The last piece that I wanted to calculate for you is the Roth conversion piece. Right? We calculated about $150,000 worth of tax benefits. Right? So let's do the Roth conversion. Let's take some of the retirement accounts and put it into a $150,000 Roth, right? Because this is the tax benefit we got from doing the charitable trust, and let's let this $150,000 that was in an IRA that was taxable. Let's let this grow for the next 20 years and turn this into a $400,000 tax-free Roth. And maybe even bring these guys to life expectancy probably closer to 25 years. It's going to probably go to $500,000. Yep, so now we got a $500,000 tax-free Roth that we created from the tax benefit from the charitable trust. I mean, these guys are getting tax benefits from everywhere. And I had an advisor ask me the other day, I'm always talking about performance, and I'm talking about asset allocations, and I'm talking about retirement projections, but I've never really focused on the taxes and the fees and the estate plan and these different things. Clients, this is going to be all new information to clients. And I said, yeah, it is going to be new information, which is why it's vitally important for us to keep it really simple. So we're going to keep the life insurance really simple. We're going to keep the idea of tax harvesting / Roth conversions very simple. We're going to redirect taxable to tax-free. And like I said, we're going to create a tremendously more efficient estate for this client. And we're going to create a much, much better tax situation for them in retirement, and they're going to be able to pass those tax benefits along to their kids. And if they get sick and need long-term care, the entire plan is not going to be devastated because of that. So we're trying to not leave any stones unturned, trying to fill up all the holes, and try to have this whole scenario work no matter what. And I believe that is what they've done. And I also believe that no other advisor is going to be able to do this for them. So when they see the value that we provide, we're really going to be able to deliver it. We're going to be able to get into more places they're going to recommend us to. We're going to have a good long-term relationship with this client. It's not transactional, and it's going to be very, very gratifying for all you guys. So I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I'm glad we hammered it all out. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now because I know I talked really, really fast, and I'll see if you guys have any questions. Thank you guys very, very much. This is the second of the third meeting, so we only have 2 left, which is policy delivery, service, and follow-up. And thank you for joining us today.